typical disgusting display.
Oh, tonight we got 'em. Goldy, the Sulk, and JC.
The typical disgusting display. And it starts right now.
So, welcome back to another episode of A Typical Disgusting Display, a podcast for writers, by writers who hate writing. And Goldy, JC, it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. This is a Christmas Day. This is coming out on Christmas Day.
Oh, yeah.
This is my
Sorry,
chocolate.
I had you muted.
First joke of the day.
By the way, I thought you're in the catbird seed with these first jokes of the day because you get to hear me say straight, boring stuff at first, and then you get to just jump in.
You don't have to say boring stuff.
I have to set up the show.
You're a writer. You could prepare.
Folks, I could say, hey, folks, you ever notice how on airplanes...
Yes, there you go. Right in. Jump
I like
right
to have
in.
it
We'll
be
figure it out.
More of a natural conversation, which is
wow.
me saying straight stuff, and then you saying the first snarky thing, which is great.
You begin your conversations. Hi, we're having a conversation. Or do you just say something?
I just intro the podcast. I care about the brand. I care about the brand.
I don't.
You know, I don't know if you noticed we were 214th in India last week.
Wow.
Yeah.
Alec, the brand sulking.
Second joke of the day.
Oh, call me Elton. Elton Brand. Yeah, been traveling all day. I'm a little punchy, but it is Christmas, and we just came back from Colorado to now here.
I don't know,
for
our Indian listeners, I'm not sure whether that hits.
Oh, that's right.
Hits home as much.
What?
That
Christmas?
it's Christmas. I mean, it's it's.
Oh, that's not. They don't care
as much. No.
Right.
Yeah, don't
also-
bait me into an Indian voice if that's where this is going.
No,
I don't want to do that.
No.
No, we're not doing that because we love.
I mean,
India.
but what would that sound like?
a billion people and 214th. A billion
That's
people.
not bad.
That's not bad.
That's true.
No.
If there's a
That's
billion
not
people.
bad. I'm going to start forwarding you guys this thing. I get this thing called Chartable Digest, and every week it sends,
Wow.
and some weeks we're just out in every country, and other weeks it's like, holy shit, India.
Oh, wow.
Anyway, been traveling all day, came back here to Cape Cod, and haven't been here in a while. Went upstairs, and it's beginning to smell a lot like rat piss.
Oh, no.
Oh, really?
It just smells like
That's bad.
dead animal up
How do
here.
you know what rat piss smells like?
Oh, I lived in New York.
Oh,
I lived in New York
I never knew they
City.
were really pissing and stuff. I mean, I knew they were
always.
rats, but I didn't
Constantly
smell their
pissing.
piss. I thought that
Yeah,
was human
always.
piss.
It could
I
have been.
know, it's
it
true.
smells like human piss. You're right, but I'm assuming it wasn't a human who was pissing
Let's hope
in our
not.
house. I think it was an animal of some kind.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I can't imagine a rat can create a stink with its piss, though.
Oh.
You can't?
How much could it be pissing?
Well, but
It's like-
we haven't been here in months. So if it pisses one tiny thimble once a day, that's a lot after a while.
I don't know.
Anyway,
Listen, man,
how
the
do
problem
we
is
get
more
this?
the
It's
rats.
Christmas. It's
Oh, right.
Christmas.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Yeah, what are you
Do you
doing?
celebrate Christmas?
Do we? No,
Yeah.
not at all. Not even close.
We do.
Okay.
You
that's
do?
what I thought,
I wish
Oh,
we
yeah,
did.
of course.
I
Yeah,
love
I
it.
thought so. 'Cause
Yeah.
I remember the bike. I remember that when you gave one of your daughters a
That
bike.
was like 2 years ago. I gave my youngest kid a bicycle, and she didn't
she
know
said-
what a bicycle was.
I'll never forget that
This
one.
year, I've really set myself up for greater success, though, because I can say it here because she doesn't listen. I think she knows what a new iPad is.
Wow. Oh, she's going to
yes.
lose it.
I think my oldest will know what Melanie Martinez tickets are.
I don't know what that is. What is that?
That is
Oh, Melanie Martinez is for people who think Taylor Swift is like basic bitch.
basic. I love
it's,
it.
It's like Melanie Martinez is cool and kind of like indie and weird and stuff.
Oh,
so
that's
cool.
awesome.
So
All
my
right.
kids are more into Melanie Martinez. They don't care about Taylor Swift, actually.
That's
Ooh,
awesome.
Look at them going against
That's
the
cool.
grain.
Yeah.
Just like
Which is a
that.
little sad because it would be an easy thing. It's like if someone doesn't like McDonald's, which they also don't, that you go,
Wow.
well, that easy thing is off the table.
Yeah. No,
Right.
McDonald's is the greatest easy thing. It's such an yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so you go, okay, no McDonald's, no Taylor Swift, but Melanie Martinez, and I don't know if there's like a Coco's.
Right. Right.
There you go.
I don't even know what Coco's is. Let's
Yeah,
call it.
Coco's is for people who don't have the guts to go to a Denny's.
The
I've
guts.
never heard of it.
It's just, imagine if you were like, look, I can't go into a Denny's and spend that kind of money.
Oh, okay.
But I can
Go to
eat
Coco's.
some pancakes that are okay.
Okay, so
Oh.
You might go to Coco's.
Well, so it's funny you bring up Melanie Martinez, who I've never heard of, but Levy's been really into Will Willis lately. He's
Will
been climbing
Willis?
up the charts.
Will Willis.
Will Willis. He went to my high school. Goldy remembers.
No, I know. I remember.
yeah.
I'm not walking into that again.
No. So Goldy, you're excited for Christmas with the kids. You think you nailed it with their presents.
Yeah, and I'm already in the Christmas spirit because a couple nights ago, there's this thing in Los Angeles called Descanso Gardens, which is just a shockingly beautiful garden in the La Cañada region. It's acres and acres. It's bigger than you think. It's nicer than you think. And then they do this light show that's very impressive. It sells out every year. It's hard to get tickets. My wife managed to get them somehow. Shout out to her.
Yeah.
So we went. And then at these things, when I was growing up, there was a frugality that I like to fight against. So, for example, if I was, as a youngster somewhere and they were selling food and I said, oh, can I have a hot dog? I would, yeah, we'll eat when you get home. we're not buying that for you. So now it's like my kid, wanted a hot dog, and it's like, you can have a hot dog.
Yeah.
Then there's churros, which, are these sort of Mexican cinnamon stick cookies.
Yeah, we know it.
They're not, everyone loses their mind over them.
Right.
They're fine. They're fine.
I agree.
It's like,
fried dough
croissants
is
where
better.
people are like, oh, a croissant. It's like, it's fine. It's nothing to,
Fried dough, way better.
fried dough's fine.
I don't.
It's
Isn't
all
that a donut?
These are all good. Cotton candy, it's fine.
Yeah.
But who cares? Anyway,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
churros, she wants the churros. You can
Sure.
have the churros. Great. I'd like a little hot chocolate. You know what? Dad writes for Family Guy.
Yeah.
You can have the hot chocolate.
There you go.
Family Guy's not going anywhere unless there's something you haven't told me.
No.
So, she's eating a decent amount, but I don't think about it and I don't care, and I'm happy to drop the, $21 or whatever it was.
Right.
So then, we go to bed, and here's what were the bed arrangements. So I start out with my daughter in her bed. Try to follow this. My wife and the dog are in our bed.
Okay.
Yes.
I then go back to my own bed with my wife.
Yes.
Yeah.
At that point, my daughter comes into our bed.
Okay.
My
Yes.
wife then goes into my daughter's bed.
The empty bed.
Yes.
She's smart. She's smart.
The dog follows my wife.
Oh God.
So now no one is in the bed they started in.
But everyone's in the same
Everyone's in a different bed. And this is like taking a few hours for everyone to arrange.
Right.
And then the dog comes back into my bed. So everyone's switched beds at
Right.
least once.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so then my daughter at about 2 a.m, she starts making this noise like, and
Your daughter.
yes. And I'm like, is she dying? But I'm very tired. So I'm
Right.
like, probably not. Like if she was an elderly person, I would think she was dying. But since she's young, I was like, she's probably not dying. But it doesn't sound good. And then she's like, water. And you go, well, that's not how you ask me for water, but okay. So,
You're
I
reverting
stumble.
back to your parents now.
Yeah, I get the water, but I would like some water, please. Is
Yeah, sure.
sort of how I might want to be asked. Or,
Yep.
hey, I know I should go get my own water. I don't want to get
But-
whatever.
Could
It's
you
just
please?
water. Okay, so I get the water, and she chugs the water like she just ran off the field after, scoring a kickoff touchdown.
Right.
Even though she's done nothing. So,
Right.
okay, she chugs it and then just falls back to sleep. And I go, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
I never sleep, but I'm lying still.
Breathing.
At the ready.
Yeah. So then about 45 minutes later, she sits up again and she's making that same type of breathing.
Ooh.
And something hits me and I say, "You're not going to throw up, are you?" And as I say you, I would say 3/4 of a gallon of water, hot dog, churro,
Hot
hot chocolate. There's some cheese curls in there. There might have been like an earlier slice of pizza or something. It lands on my chest, my arm, my thigh, my side,
I'm gonna barf.
my neck, and my face.
Oh no!
It is all over
Did you
me.
start barfing?
And
I would
then
have for sure started.
she's screaming.
Oh, no.
And I don't know how you would have handled it, but I just very loudly said, "What the fuck?" So that was good. She was screaming. And so then my wife gets up and she's like, what's happening? What's happening? And it's like, well, okay, she's screaming. I'm covered in barf.
Can you figure this out?
What do you think? So now I'm just really upset
Oh, of course.
and not handling it very well.
Yeah.
And so I just, because I've been covered in barf, I do triage on the bed, which like, thank God we have a mattress pad and that held, because, a mattress is like $4,000 at this point.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
the
a nice
mattress
one,
is fine.
yes.
Everything's fine. I got it all in the washing machine. My wife got my daughter settled down. And then I went right into the shower at about
good.
3 a.m. But if you're in a shower at 3 a.m., something has gone so far afield in your life. Like, I was like, I never want to be in this situation ever again. It's like you've either hit someone with your car or something like an animal. It's flown through the windshield. You've murdered someone.
Yeah,
Yes.
you're washing blood off.
You've committed a crime of passion.
Yes,
You're deathly ill.
yes, you're right.
You're Alex Murtaugh on that fateful night. Yeah.
So I was just standing there and I was like, I have to make a mental note that the only goal of life is to avoid being in the shower at 3 a.m. I think.
The only goal.
Like, and if you talk about being thankful, like, what are you thankful for? It's like every day you're not in the shower at 3 a.m.
At 3 a.m. Oh my God.
Well,
Have you been barfed on?
I've
but only a little. Like
I've barfed
not like that. Not like
Same.
that at all.
Well, I think I've told this story. There was one time one of my kids barfed in the crib, and it looked like a salmon got murdered. And I had to clean the crib, but there was so much everywhere that I had to get naked to do it. So I was like that guy in Pulp Fiction who comes and cleans shit.
Yeah,
like,
the wolf.
I've got like I'm like naked with bleach wipes in there.
Yeah.
But this was worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, this sounds like a direct hit. Like the submarine did not survive this torpedo.
Yeah,
that
and
was
it's like, of course that was my reward for going against my parents.
right. Here, have the hot dog, have the churro, have the hot chocolate. Yeah, well, you get it back.
Yeah.
Well, somewhere your dad is looking down and smiling at you in that moment, just saying, "I told you, Johnny."
I know.
Oh God, that's great. That's really funny. Well, what a
She
Christmas
okay?
story that was.
Yeah.
What a great Christmas tale. Well, you know what though? I'm just fired up to get into Jimmy Carr. So
know.
we're excited for that. So you know what? He's coming out here for for
This
Johnny
might
jokes.
be our finest hour.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are we ready? We're recording? Okay. Oh, soft intro. Friends, we are incredibly excited today. First of all, we're doing this in person. Goldy's got some stuff to say about that. But we have today, this is the soft intro. English comedian Jimmy Carr, one of the best in the world, is here with us today. For some reason, he found us. He likes us. So he's here.
Well, he
And-
found us.
He found us. We don't know if he likes us, but
which
he
is fine.
found us.
We're so grateful.
But a lot of quote unquote funny people come on this program, writers, comics, and they beg off the Johnny jokes. They ignore them, they shrug them off, they kind of chuckle at us when we ask them if they'd like to do it, and then they don't do it. So they are cowards. We've called them that before many times. Jimmy Carr is not a coward. He is going to be closing our Johnny jokes today, and we could not be more excited. So let's get right in.
That's testament to the fact you have not heard these Johnny jokes.
I know, but
20 minutes of Scrabble together, nothing.
Yeah, that's what we do every week.
Topical news? Okay, yeah, sure, why
not? So that's our way of getting into this week's very special Johnny jokes.
We're doing this first, I guess. I thought we would interview the guy. Anyway, from Hollywood, here's Jimmy and Johnny's.
Oh, boy. Is that ever louder than everyone else?
We're not interviewing the guy first. You just...
No, this is great. This is straight in, no kissing.
This is what we do.
Yes,
this is what we do.
Straight for the...
This was the plan.
Okay.
There was a plan.
Getting into Johnny jokes. Here we go. Maybe you heard about this sad story. TV writer and legend Norman Lear passed away last week at the age of 101.
He gone.
Nice. You all got it.
Thank you.
Lear was briefly canceled during the Me Too movement until he officially changed his name to Norman Asexual Glance.
Oh, I
Norman
weird.
Asexual Glance. And we're off and limping.
First joke of the day.
First joke of the day.
No, it isn't.
Yeah, that didn't quite qualify. We'll get there with one of them. Cobbled together a couple of these. Okay. Well, maybe you heard about this, Jimmy, being you're from across the pond. New daylight laws for sex workers in Amsterdam could severely reduce their legal hours of operation. Area prostitutes have vowed to take the restrictions lying down. Lying down. All right, we're getting there.
I notice we're all doing the thing that it's a very comic thing. We're looking at our jokes as you're doing yours, instead of paying attention to yours.
Well, I always go first, and I'm victim of that. But I understand
like these extra 2 seconds are like,
I know.
These are going to change into good jokes.
I know.
As I look at them during your jokes.
Well, by the way,
we should be learning from this example.
Yeah.
They learning what not to do.
Right. They are magically changing to good jokes.
Are you looking at me for first joke of the day?
Am I looking at you for first joke of the day? I mean, I think like all avid listeners, we know that doesn't.
That
goes to Goldy. It doesn't go to the soul.
And it won't be during Johnny's.
No, we do that.
No, this is just like, it's like a Far Side cartoon of the cows watching the other cow go to the slaughterhouse and going like, I wonder if it'll be different when I'm...
Yeah, exactly right. All right, two more. I know, I'm sorry. Universal Pictures has decided to release Oppenheimer in Japan. I don't know. I think it might bomb. It might not do well.
Oh, come on.
Not do well. Thank you. I've arrived.
There you go.
Wow. Joke 3 have arrived.
That's a great joke.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I appreciate that. High praise. All right, final one from me. Thank God. Buffalo Bills coach Sean McDermott is in hot water after it was revealed that he used the 9/11 hijackers as an example of great teamwork in a speech to his players. This is true. The speech must have worked, however, as the Bills immediately took down the Jets. Thank you. Wow. Look at this. A gentleman brings applause.
This is a fantastic joke.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, what a recovery.
Thank you. What a recovery. Yeah. He's got to point it out. All right, second Johnny.
In honor of our guest, King Charles and Prince William are reportedly dealing with fallout from allegedly making racist comments about Meghan Markle. Charles and William deny any racism, saying they wouldn't like Meghan even if she was white.
Not a likable person.
Okay. Britney Spears' father, Jamie, has had his leg amputated.
Ooh.
The leg is still closer to him than Britney.
Oh.
Okay.
They don't like each other.
Music mogul P. Diddy is being accused of participating in a gang rape. Diddy denies the charges, saying he didn't rape the woman, he just sampled her.
That's very good. That's a
I have
good
to follow
joke.
this.
Yeah. And by the way, he was doing what you were doing. He was looking at his jokes.
I believe me, going last sucks. A tourist has died in the world's tallest bungee jump.
Ooh.
He goes!
Nice. Very fast.
Yeah. He'll be buried as soon as he stops bouncing. I'll just call it.
Boing,
I guess I'll
boing.
do a fan final. I'll do a Norm.
All right.
Yeah.
And Norm MacDonald. Hunter Biden is being indicted by the federal government. Yeah. Now, with the election coming up, Republicans are going to seize on this as a great opportunity to look at more pictures of his dick.
Excellent.
Okay, so
No.
well, Johnny jokes.
Johnny
Yeah.
3.
Now, imagine a Brit had got the job. I'm sorry, I'm still a little bit hungover from World AIDS Day. It's if you're not familiar, it's kind of like Christmas for AIDS, but it's more I'm dreaming of a white blood cell.
Oh my God.
I think that's why it's called a retrovirus, because AIDS makes you kind of nostalgic for 80s pop and Ronald Reagan. The Republican candidates. I'm going to talk about the Republican candidates. This would be my monologue. It's weird seeing a cast of characters like that without having the Joker at the head of the table saying, let's squeeze Gotham for all it's worth. Chris Christie. Chris Christie is 1.5 of the worst candidates in history. He's waddling for office. Ron DeSantis has that puffy, worried-looking face. He looks like he just got off the phone to John Wick, and he's thinking, I shouldn't have killed that guy's dog. Why is Ron DeSantis wearing lifts? Why not just be short? Prince was 5'2", no one gives a shit. Paul Simon was 5'1", legend. Drake is 5 foot, great. John Lennon was 4'8", people still love him. No one in Pink Floyd is over 4 foot. Elvis was 9 inches tall. Okay, back to the Republican candidates. Vivek Ramaswamy, he was an intern at Goldman. He worked at a hedge fund, and he launched a pharmaceutical company. He's like, guys, trust me, I'm a cunt.
That's my favorite word.
Of all the candidates, Nikki Haley looks like she'd be the best at balancing raising a family with running a concentration camp. At this point, Biden's presidency is best described as elder abuse. I think Joe Biden thinks he's on an extended tour of the White House. Every day he's like, wow, all this for $9? Stand by. Henry Kissinger died.
He gone!
I think he just got too excited about the bombing of Gaza. I think we can all agree his best year, Kissinger's best year, was 1973 when he won the Nobel Peace Prize and was Napalm Magazine's Man of the Year. That's maybe the last one.
Bravo.
Wow.
Bravo.
Unbelievable. To see, that's,
Great job.
I mean, listeners, you can hear the difference there.
It's hard to
That was incredible.
enjoy that and not just feel ashamed.
Yeah, no,
I had to, but the Republican candidates as well was like a Google search of, oh, that man is fat. Okay, easy. that woman looks like a Nazi.
I know, you're right. She does. But the thing with that is, like, and Goldy just said it very well, like, it's hard not to, I'm laughing the whole way through. But there's also that 50% of me that's Salieriing, crumpling my jokes in my hand and cursing God.
Stop it! I'm a big fan of this podcast, but I'm a big fan of you guys as writers. I thought, obviously people that listen to this will listen to the podcast.
Yeah.
Last week's episode where you went through it might be
you
2 weeks
really
ago
did.
now,
You
but
really
last week's
listened.
where you wrote
That
the
was last
episode
week's.
live.
Yeah.
Best episode there's ever been. It
Oh,
was so fantastic
wow.
on that build on the thing. Like, for me, that could be the podcast every week of going, just seeing the craftsmanship, like of one little bit and going through. And it was, for me, it was like the stuff that you went, yeah, it was more you sort of saying, well, actually, no, we're not going to do that trans joke. That's never going to make the script. It's just in for now, but it doesn't
Right.
ring true.
Right.
And it was such a
See
kind
that
of,
being
yeah, it's funny, but it's not funny enough. It doesn't kind of earn its place.
Correct.
And when he says that could be the show, what he's really saying is that should.
I guess. No, well, that's. Well,
But he's right.
First of all,
It's really interesting, that thing of
Yeah.
like the layering that you guys do of jokes. And I've worked with other, I've worked with guys in the UK that are fantastic, my writers on TV shows. But
Right.
Jesse Joyce is the guy I like out here, who I think you know a little bit.
He's a
great.
friend of ours, yeah.
It's just fantastic. But that thing of like the ethic of like just sitting down and writing that many jokes. And
Yep.
so many guys in my industry don't do it. So many guys go, oh, I'm working on something, and they work a little bit on stage, but like really putting in the hours of like, because the building blocks of this it's jokes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, nobody knows that better than you do. And I gave you a soft intro before. For friends, if you don't know who we're talking to, this is legendary British comedian Jimmy Carr. TV personality, writer, actor, all the hyphenates and all that.
Really just a stand-up. I mean, all the other stuff. I always think that thing when stand-ups go, yeah, I'm going to go and act in a I don't know, Avengers movie.
Right.
What the fuck are you talking about? You've got the best job in the world. You want to go and sit in a trailer at 5 a.m. What are you talking about?
Yes.
Why would you do that?
That answers one of my questions, which was because you do, if you read up on you and you search you on YouTube, many of the clips and things that come up are you, on different television programs. Then there are your specials, which you're so prolific, which is amazing. But so I think you've just answered one of my questions was, you want to be just a stand-up. Like you don't have a desire to be in an Avengers movie.
I'm quite stoic, like that idea of like do less better. Just do one thing. Whether you got the world ordered a stand-up comedian, honor that. Be a stand-up comedian. It's a great gig. And that thing of like, if you've got a facility to write jokes, whether you want to be a performer or not, like the thing that you guys do of like going, okay, so you found this incredible show where you can just pack it full of jokes. And something about the simple thing that Family Guy has cutaways. You go, oh, everything is on the table.
Yes.
It goes out from every other sitcom that you go, well, of course.
Yeah.
We can't do a joke about the Boston Tea Party because this is set in 1970s Detroit.
Right.
You go, no, we can do jokes about anything.
Yes.
Well, it's nice to hear you say that because I feel like when we started doing stand-up in the 90s, it went from people telling jokes to people going up with a notepad, and part of it was this attitude of I'm working out stuff up here too, and this,
or I don't care.
This coolness about it. And you seem like the antidote to that, where you're like, hey man, for better or for worse, I've worked on this. And then even when you go into the crowd, it's like, why the fuck would anyone say anything to you?
But the binary nature as well. I love the pass fail. Like that's what I really liked about last week's episode. Like the thing about going, look, you try a joke and the audience laugh or they don't laugh. So the audience is a genius. The Lenny Bruce line. Right. The audience, like, I've never been to. I went up at the store last night after I did my show, and tried some new shit. And you go, I always try new stuff at the end of the show, and it's binary. The audience have never been. Some of them have never seen live comedy before, and they know instinctively that's funny, that's not funny. There's a group dynamic, and it's binary. So you go, it's tested by them. You get the feedback. Right. I mean, I always think the bad thing about your job is you don't get the immediate feedback on someone rewinding the joke and watching it 10 times and you know that they loved it. What's the thing that you don't get to see the laughter.
Yeah.
But can I ask you, because looking at it that way, which is how I always looked at it, and when I used to do stand-up, I would get annoyed that I felt they were judging me every joke, and there were comedians who seemed to have money in the bank with the audience because of persona.
Well, it's that thing as well where you go, you have zero charm.
And Goldy and I had very little.
Incredible charisma.
Yeah.
And I think those two things get conflated. And I think it's easy to sort of think, like if you watch people and they work on charm on stage, I often watch them and I used to kind of be a bit baffled and annoyed by it and go, well, how is that? There's just nothing. There's like 4 stories in 20 minutes. But they love them. They just want to spend time with them. And for me, it's more contractual.
Can you differentiate between charm and charisma? Because what do you
I'd say
think
that probably the best analogy would be Trump and Obama. So Obama is incredibly charming. He's head to the side. If you look at the cadence of his speech and the way he rolls, it's incredible. It's I come to you.
Right.
Trump is you come to me. It's a much more solid stance, and I suppose Angelina Jolie would be incredibly charismatic. She's on a pedestal. And Jennifer Aniston would be incredibly charming. Everyone wants to be her friend. And you go, well, they both get to fuck Brad Pitt. It's not that one's better than the other.
Right.
It's that thing that you go, one is... knowing what you are seems incredibly important in the world. It's something that I think we kind of lost a little bit of, like, knowing what you are and what your strong suit is.
Right.
So you go, you're not going to get love, but you've got an incredible charisma. Like your voice, your whole thing, you feel like a fully formed sitcom character. It's just everything with your attitude. Like when you rant, it's so funny.
Oh, I thought you meant the general sense. I just realized you were
Goldie specifically. Your thing of like, it's when you rant on stuff, it's so perfect.
Yeah.
It's so kind of
Charismatic.
It's incredibly charismatic.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
It feels like desperate floundering.
That's part of the charisma.
But
that's a truth.
An unending airplane crash is how it feels.
But I think Jimmy's right that people respond because it feels very authentic in you, which, you know.
But I mean, that's something that gets learned over years and years. Like when I started doing stand-up, I honestly was like you. Went up and I wore a suit. Like I didn't know what to do, so I would just I would write like Leno jokes and be like, "You read about this?" I mean, I literally just would copy that.
But everyone does that. I mean, I think that thing about the reason the Johnny Jokes thing is so great, because that's the building block.
Yeah,
that's going to the gym and going, okay, so how jokes work and how I'm working on, I think at the moment, like trying to codify jokes. Because it's right, music has a language. Comedy's very new. Like as an art form, like if you look at what America's given the world, right? So it's the Western, jazz music, and stand-up comedy.
Right.
Of like the art forms that it's given the world. And you go, comedy's really new.
Yeah.
I mean, Pryor and Carlin are John the Baptist. It's like Jesus hasn't got here yet. It feels like it's quite a new thing, and it's not quite codified in the way that music is.
Yeah.
Right.
So when people are great joke writers, there's a lot of magical thinking with how do you write jokes. There's a lot of, well, he's just a really funny guy. And that guy just says funny things. You go, well, no, there's a structure to that. It's not, I mean, maybe he's doing it with unconscious competence.
Right.
But we know what we're doing. If you watch a great Chappelle special, you can see what's going on.
Right. Yeah, and I was going to say, like, with music, often you are copying other styles of music that you like. And then the more you do it, that will seep into your own style and become your own style. So there is a translatable relationship.
But everything's like everyone's standing on the shoulders of giants. You go and sometimes someone comes along and they do something genuinely new. I mean, I always think the great innovators in comedy are joke-to-joke comics who, like, we seem very arcane, but like in terms of structure and things, that's like it changes it up because the frequency is changes.
Well, your frequency is insane, and that's something. Having watched many of your specials, it was that by design early? Did you? Because
I don't think you get to pick
really
who you are. I think it picks you.
Okay,
I think it's a weird thing where, like, when I was coming up, it's weird. It like wouldn't be people that would be, I think, regarded as the golden greats, but the people that were huge in the UK in the 80s when I was watching comedy would be people like Emo Phillips and Rita Rudner. Rita Rudner was like a big deal. She used to come over and do a show called Friday Night Live, and it was like you were seeing these people, and they were like a perfectly formed 5 minutes of comedy. Like perfect 5 minutes.
Yep.
Like that thing of like almost like a Tonight Show set.
Yeah.
And I loved that the sparsity. It's also, I think it's born of insecurity, although no one will ever buy the fact I'm insecure because look at me. But that thing of like you go, you don't want to waste anyone's time on stage.
Right.
Why am I telling you a story about
what
happened to my uncle? You know, maybe I earn that a little bit now. I will tell maybe a slightly longer story. So that differentiation between stand-up and jokes.
Right.
It's like I'm not great. I'm all right at stand-up. I'm getting better at it. But jokes I'm good at. Jokes I can do jokes.
Well, I was wondering as I was watching your specials, and what really impresses me is like the physical feat of the memory and the lightning fast like synapse firing. And it's like, as you're up there, are you conscious of, okay, here's what's next? Like, are you playing a chess game 8 moves ahead, or are you just confident? Because I would just go 3 minutes in, I'm gonna blank and be like, what's next, guys? And you're going into the crowd, and like, what's going on in your head as you're doing?
I think it's quite a lot of it is you're conducting. I hope this isn't boring, but it's that thing of like you're being in an audience is performative. I'm very aware of what the audience are doing, so they're performing as well. Like, you know, the thing when you go and see a rock and roll show is the most obvious example, and the guy on stage says, "How you doing?" And everyone goes, "Yeah!" That doesn't happen in Starbucks.
No.
Right.
The guy says, "Hey, how you doing this morning?" Yeah,
That'd be incredible.
Psychotic. You laugh so much more when you're in a group, right? So I think it's 30 times more.
Wow.
When you watch it on a screen, you watch my special on an iPhone on the way to. Oh, okay, he does that. It's funny. Yeah, it's a good joke.
Right.
Works.
Yeah.
But then when you're in a crowd with other people, you're showing them that it's a
infectious.
tribal thing. We're sort of connected, and you're in this little tribe for the evening. So a lot of it is conducting. It's quite a physical thing doing stand up, I think. And you're kind of you're anchoring stuff with your hand movements and your facial movements. The eyes as well. I do a lot of timing with eyes. So you're flitting around the room, but you're also kind of timing the beats.
So you're looking
Wow.
at
Very
specific
musical.
people. You're not just looking at.
I try and hit 92 beats a minute. Is what I
Wow.
try and hit. That's what I think. That's the that for me is for spoken word the right. And it doesn't matter how fast you're speaking. Obama speaks at 92 beats a minute, but it's not like
Wow.
So it's like you're trying to hit that beat. So
Holy
I'll often listen
shit.
to a playlist of 92 beats a minute to get.
Really?
And I've just noticed if you go fast, if you go slower, you don't get the applause breaks. You'll get the laughs. You won't get the applause breaks. It allows people to breathe. It allows people to kind of take in what's going on.
Wow.
What is your natural tempo?
It's about that. Yeah, it's
Wow.
not far off.
That's
lucky.
amazing. Now, this may tie into this because something I read about you was that you once studied neurolinguistic programming.
Yeah, I studied all that stuff. Like it's a cheap
love
way of
that.
doing therapy early on in life. You're doing therapy now, right?
Oh, yeah.
yeah, so much.
Yeah, I got beat up yesterday, boy. Wow. My
Why,
guy
what
came at
happened?
me hard.
Really?
No, he was just like, after I said something, he's like, I'm starting to understand how your wife feels. And I'm like, oh, that's a low blow, Dr. Ellman. I thought we were friends. I thought I was paying you. But so I had to kind of pick myself up. I think
I've got a weird relationship with therapy where I like the idea of it. And then I'm very much like, well, what do you hear about someone that's been in therapy 30 years and you go,
Yeah.
the fuck are you doing? Just fix it and go. So I like the thing of I like CBT and I like cognitive behavioral therapy.
Right.
Because I think somehow just looking at those thought patterns, because I think a lot of the depression and anxiety around comedy, and most comics have got some level of anxiety disorder. And you go, yeah, because your mind is just like, certainly you two guys, your minds are whirring the whole time.
Yeah.
Thinking of the next line.
Right.
And you go, well, there's a flip side to that. There's a dark side. When you wake up at 4 a.m. and you don't have a script to write,
Yeah.
your mind is still whirring. So all the creativity, everything that dick jokes have brought you has also brought you a level of anxiety, and kind of
Yes.
making peace with that and having a gratitude for that is kind of the cure for me.
And so you were able to do that.
Yeah. So I still have a fair degree of anxiety, but it's kind of manageable. And you also take the rough with the smooth. You go, well, I'm not looking for a different way of being.
Right.
That thing of like the cognitive behavioral stuff is often about like thought patterns. If you Google it, like you don't need to go and see a therapist. Google it and read the thought patterns. And you go, oh yeah, there's magical thinking. I'm magical thinking. Oh, I'm catastrophizing.
And and our brains are just so trained to go down the same
Yeah.
rabbit
But once you see
holes.
it, you kind of go, oh.
But you also said
Wow.
that you're not trying to change basically yourself, right? You're saying it's
Well,
like
no,
an acceptance.
Yeah, I think there's an acceptance of like. I think there's a weird perception of like arriving somewhere. There's a
Yeah.
thing in our culture of like, when I get this, I'll be happy. I suppose it's that thing of like the pursuit of happiness is the wrong. It's the happiness of the pursuit. I really enjoy being a
it's
stand-up
deep.
comic. I really enjoy the
Deep.
process. It's like I'm sure you guys could care less about an episode of Family Guy, but the writing of it and the process and the doing it and the fun and
That's true.
and being in the
Creation.
and when you look back at your stand-up careers or whatever, the being in the trenches and talking about that shitty club with a thing behind a hot dog or whatever. That's the fun of it. The fun is doing it.
Oh, did you have experiences like, because you've listened to our show, and I want to get into how you even came
listening
across
to our
it.
show was his experience of his shitty experience.
Yeah, I get it. I see where you're going with that. But when you were just starting out in stand-up, did you have similar kind of nightmarish London-based experiences?
Yeah, there was some kind of tough gigs and tough corporates along the way, and but not many in terms of going. I think I was very lucky in that I came into a graveyard.
Yes, right.
Comedy-wise, there was not much going on. It wasn't a huge. It's like it's a legitimate career choice now that you could be a stand-up comic,
Right.
which is great. But it feels like there was nothing going on in the UK, and then suddenly there was a boom.
Yeah.
And I don't quite know where it came from. I think that thing of like, I mean, gratitude is sort of the most important thing, but you go, the era that I grew up in was sort of brilliant because we'd had a little bit of stand-up comedy. You'd have seen like a Robin Williams or a Steve Martin or an Eddie Murphy
Right.
on a it would have been a VHS tape,
Yeah.
but you wouldn't have. It wasn't everywhere. It wasn't a cultural thing. And now it feels like stand-up is a medium where people are so, I don't know what it is. I think stand-up lives in the discourse between public and private speech.
That's
So you've got how people speak on the news and politicians speak, total bullshit,
Right.
and how comedians speak, and you go, well, how people speak in private, and that's a very different thing.
Right.
And then comics are sort of mediating that, kind of the canary in the mine.
Right.
It really feels like it's like people are loving podcasts because it's long form and it's people being straight. people just being honest.
Yeah. We can't avoid it here. Well, so since we're at the podcast topic, how the hell did you even hear about our podcast? You haven't seen our numbers, so it's shocking that you would have.
Yeah, we're
found
like
it.
Netflix. We'll never release those
Yeah,
numbers.
I know.
It's huge. Well, no, me and the other 3 listeners. No, it's a great little show. I travel a lot, and I'm obsessed by. I'm quite dyslexic, so I tend not to read. I listen to a lot of things.
Right.
And I've got so I listen to lots and lots of audiobooks, and then I like that thing of like taking a break and listening to funny stuff. So normally I'll listen to quite serious things because it's kind of where you're going to get ideas from. It's not going to be it's a hat on a hat comedy stuff.
Yeah,
So
right,
comedy's like a treat. So I was traveling. I think it was in Canada on tour, and I was kind of going through like comedy podcasts, and I saw. I think I saw your name. Your name came up on something, and I'd seen you on Twitter years ago.
Right.
And was aware of you guys as writers. I'm aware of like I'll often kind of look and see what people have written on, and you guys have got a great reputation, great gag writers. It's like
He
Very
has a
nice.
great reputation.
Oh, please. He
Appreciate that.
talks himself down.
actually that was my idea for the podcast. That was my throwing in ideas for your podcast.
Yeah.
The top 5. I tell you what I'd love as a top 5 from
Yes.
you guys.
Yes.
Top 5 jokes that never made it. Jokes that never made a script, that you loved, that you adored, that never made the
I'll
script.
tell
It'd
you
be
one
difficult for
right
JC.
now. I'll tell you one right now that I've been trying to get on a show or something since I started. And the idea is called the all-terrain dessert cart. And it's just that someone had invented like a dessert cart with knobby tires and shocks, and they're bringing it out into the woods. And I don't know like why you need it. I don't know who wants it, but I wanted to build one when I was in late night, and I've just it's
There's a restaurant in London called Oslo Court.
yeah.
And they built it's a nice building. It's like 300 apartments, and it's just for nice widows to live in.
Yeah.
And it's got a restaurant in the basement, and the restaurant there has not. They opened it in 1973, and they have changed nothing
Oh, I
since.
love that.
And
I
they
love
have
that.
the dessert trolley, and it's like it's almost like a theme restaurant now. It's like, oh, is this like a 1970s thing?
Yeah.
But no, it's not. It
We'll
just
go
didn't
back
change
in
anything.
time.
Yeah.
But the guy doing profiteroles. I see you have room for a little bit more. It's an incredibly camp German guy. Maybe some cheesecake for you. But the dessert trolley's like it's lost in time.
Yes, it has been. Well, also, Goldy, I don't know, did your warm cuts joke ever make air? Because I
don't
love
know.
that. Goldie.
Is that a cold cuts?
Yeah. It was
Warm cuts.
his billion dollar idea. Warm cuts.
I love that.
Yeah, I enjoyed that.
I don't know what they are.
So, and you kind of talked about it was sort of a desert of comedy
I
when
think.
you were
Well,
coming
I
up.
came. I was very lucky. I started out. I was working for Alec. I went to university or whatever. Got slightly overeducated, and then kind of came out. And I think I read a thing recently. I think it's only 8 years ago they did the research. Your frontal lobe doesn't finish forming till you're 25.
Okay.
Like you're not finished. You're not like fully developed. I think it's different. I think it's maybe 23 for women, 25 for men. But your frontal lobe finishes. I really felt that. Like at 25, I kind of went, the fuck am I doing?
Yeah, like all of a sudden.
I'm working for Shell Oil? The fuck am I doing?
Were you?
Yeah, I was working for Shell Oil in marketing in London.
Whoa.
And going, what?
Wow.
I mean, listen, it's, and that used to be how the world changes. Shell weren't the bad guys at the time. It's like,
Right.
Fucking petrol, great. Everyone's getting paid.
Yeah.
Lovely. And then left and joined. It was like joining the circus. I kind of went, I did a couple of stand-up gigs. I did like maybe 3 stand-up gigs. I was watching and I thought, that the reverse way you get into stand-up of like, I remember seeing Eddie Izzard at the Cambridge Corn Exchange.
Yeah.
He's fantastic. I mean, in his pomp, he was unbelievably funny.
Right.
And then I went to the Comedy Store in London, which is not the same as the one here, but it's pretty good. I saw 3 comics, 2 of them great. One of them was kind of okay.
Right.
And then went to, then you go to that a couple of times. And then you go to the clubs, like above a pub somewhere and someone's doing an open mic. And you're like, I couldn't do Eddie did. I couldn't do the Comedy Store thing. I fucking do better than these guys.
Yeah.
And then your career is the reverse of that, where you start in those clubs, and then you get the Comedy Store, and then you're playing those venues.
Right.
And you kind of, it always seems like it's only kind of baby steps. So you're kind of writing things and you try it. And I don't know, I got lucky as well. I met really nice people early on in comedy.
Who helped?
And yeah, it's like having those, you can't beat your environment. There's other people
Right.
around you. And then no one had a work ethic.
Right. Right. But you did.
Right.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I did 300 theater shows this year. I'm like obsessed by it.
Whoa.
But did you know right away, like you got on the first time and you did it and you got down and you just said, my life has changed? Or did you just kind of go, well, that wasn't so bad, I could do that again?
I think it was like, I think it was more that being a writer first felt like, I remember I always remind my manager who I'm still with, when she first told me, I think you might be more of a writer. I was like, well, okay. And that thing of like going,
It
no, I
used
kind
to
of
be
want to be
insulting.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
You know, that used to be like, fuck you, I'm not a writer.
Yeah. But you go, but isn't that the gig? I mean, it's like the thing of what's changed in rock and roll. Like rock and roll was about singers, and then it became about singer-songwriters. You know, that kind of thing, Bob Dylan. I think comedy changed in that way in, you know, probably the 50s. What's that? Who's that guy? Cliff, who wrote The Comedians, that book. But that thing of like going, it's kind of singer-songwriters now. It's like your voice.
Right. So I read about you that, and you just kind of talked about it. Your brain fully formed at 25, and you found yourself working at Shell Oil. And from what I read, it said you suffered from depression, perhaps over this at the time.
I think like it's literally that simplistic of like I wasn't depressed, I was sad. And I think there's a conflation in our society about people think they're depressed, but they're sad.
Yeah.
If you're sad, you're lucky. It's circumstantial.
Well,
If it's circumstantial, like if you've got a serotonin imbalance, if you've got a mental health problem and you're listening to this, like depression gets bandied around by people. Like it's like, oh, I'm depressed. No, you're not.
You're sad.
You're sad. You've made bad decisions and your life shit.
Right.
That's sad.
Yes.
But being sad, there's more stigma, but there's more you can do about it.
Right.
You've got agency if you're sad. Okay, we'll change it.
I would submit, though, being sad and or depressed about your situation, is that just being British?
Yeah, maybe.
Is there just kind of an element of that where it's like, yeah, we're kind of all sad. We listen to Pink Floyd, and now we've segued into Radiohead. So it's like, yeah, we're sad.
It's the same
raining,
band, isn't it? It's the same band.
They're very similar.
Yeah.
Very similar. I love them both, though. But so you wake up to this. Did you have any inkling before that of like, hey, I like
not really,
Were
comedy?
you even in like high school musicals or junior high
nothing
plays
really.
or anything?
Nothing. I always think like if you meet a stand-up comedian on a plane or whatever, if you pass one in the street, ask them which one of their parents was sick.
Right.
Oh, wow.
One of their parents was sick, either physically or mentally. My
Yeah.
mother was depressed, and I was the thermostat of vibes in the house. So I'm very good at changing states in a room. I can come in and pick up the
Liven
mood.
things up.
And that's the skill that you learn from whatever the terrible childhood trauma that you had. And both of you, I feel sorry, but it was clearly awful.
Yeah.
I feel, Goldy, yours more so. But somehow it's giving you this facility to make things funny and to make it okay. So there was always like growing up was my mother was very funny, but also very depressed.
Yeah.
And that thing of, so you get into that role and somehow it becomes, it's a personality disorder that you can do for a job, being a stand-up, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Like a massive personality flaw that you can grow corn
that
with.
Somehow you can become cool with this huge defect. Now, but as for your onstage persona, and let's call it that, is that just you and who you are, or did you make a decision early on, like, I'm going to hit my mark and I'm just going to fucking nail you guys with jokes?
I think it was that thing of, I saw a guy, there's a guy called John Maloney, as opposed to John Mulaney. John
Wow.
Maloney,
Whoa.
who's a British comic, and he did a thing at the Comedy Store, and he got up and he went, I'm going to do 10 jokes. And he told 10 pretty good jokes, like bang, 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 bang. Seeing that and going, I'd love to do an hour of that.
Yeah.
Like all killer, no filler. Just don't fuck around. And everything's got to earn its place. Everything's got to get a laugh.
Right.
And then it's that thing of like, you go, well, that takes a long time to do. It's a lot of writing.
Yeah.
But it's building with Lego bricks. So you're not looking for, it's not like being Michelangelo, chipping away everything that's not
right.
the horse in the
Right.
marble. Whatever.
Oh, yeah.
That analogy of,
Sculptor.
creating something and it's
Sculptor.
not the whole of a piece.
Right.
Well, when Alec, when you referred to persona, something I'm curious about is, so when you do these sort of like hot button topics or hot button jokes, but you seem like very comfortable in person. You're very confident. Like I was at a party last night and I said something and I didn't think I wasn't trying to get a rise out of people. I was just like being honest. Like,
Well, what did you say?
well, okay, so
Yeah,
it
let's
came
hear
up. My daughter was in the. My wife said I met this person through my daughter through a parenting thing, and he wrote the Tom Hanks movie about Mr. Rogers. And I just like very casually just said, oh, I hate Mr. Rogers. And everyone's like, what? And I was like, I just always found him so boring and creepy. And I was a Sesame Street guy. And I mean, you could just see like people's faces getting longer and longer. And they're like, you can't hate Mr. Rogers. I'm like, he's like super boy. He talked to you like you're a fucking idiot. And
he's talking to me like I'm a 5-year-old.
Yeah.
Well, that is kind of his job.
Right. But
this guy's so patronizing.
I just like, but I wasn't trying to, I was just saying, but I'm wondering, do you have that? Like when you're saying these opinions, you seem to believe them and you seem to be right, but are you doing it to get a rise out of people, or are you doing it because you're just like, I'm the only one who's like not insane here, which I believe that about Mr. Rogers, even though clearly I'm getting the reaction I get.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think that thing about going, the controversial topics and being drawn to that, I think there's a sense of divilment in it and going, but it has to earn its place. Yeah. I was with Jesse Joyce last night and it came to see my show and we're chatting about like super edgy jokes. Like if it gets the reaction before it gets the laugh, it's the order's very important. Like it has to be the laugh and then the sharp intake of breath. It's like almost jokes at their best, a sort of cognitive dissonance where you believe two things at the same time. You go, that is fucking hilarious. Oh my God, I shouldn't be laughing. But your conscience should always be late to the party. Your conscience should always be second because you're laughing and then you go, oh, I shouldn't. Oh, those poor people. But you should laugh first. Yes. And if you get it the other way around, it's very easy to just do shock.
Yes.
And to hit the topics that you go, well, I know that that's a controversial topic.
Right.
And it's a live wire and it will get a reaction. But there's no joke there.
Yes.
There's nothing. You just brought it up.
That's such a great...
It's so lazy.
Such a great point, and I feel like we've seen many people do that on stage. We've seen people get famous for it over the years, and it's very frustrating. So I'm glad you pointed that out. Something else, though, about the controversial topics, I feel like there have been a few along the way in your specials where people have demanded that you apologize and said, people have come out and said, condemned it and Jimmy Carr has done wrong. But you never do. And I respect that so much. And I'm saying, where do you get the balls to like say to the Holocaust people, like, well, I'm not apologizing,
Well, I think it's that thing where you go, I got a call, last time I got cancelled, I got a call from, I've been cancelled a bunch of times. But it's like there's cancelled and cancelled. Like we're using it in the you got told off.
Right.
Let's right size it. I told a joke and some people didn't like it.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
Yes.
So you go, there's sick children out there. If you're interested,
you turned it on them.
There's important stuff going on. But you go, you tell a joke, some people don't like it, fine, it's not a big deal. I got a call from Louis C.K.'s a good friend of mine. And
he's so funny.
He called me and he went, I went, oh man, this is bad. He went, you've only got to answer one question. Who's Jimmy Carr?
Right.
And I went, oh, I don't know, I'm an edgy stand-up comic. And he went, okay.
Yeah.
So what? So what do you want to do? Would you have told a different joke? Do you stand by the joke? Was it funny? Did the audience like, yeah, okay. Well, then just tell the joke. It's fine. And that thing of like apologizing for a joke, there's a bit in the new special about you can't go around apologizing for jokes.
Right.
Because it's a joke.
Yes.
So I have a plan for the next time I get cancelled over a joke. I'm going to come out on the day of the cancellation. I'm going to say, I'm sorry. And the people that are offended by the joke will say, you don't really mean that apology. And I'll say, so you're saying I can say something and not mean it. Now you're getting it.
Oh my God.
Wow. Genius. They walked right into that trap.
Yes.
Well, it's that nice thing of like going, I think if you come and see me live at this stage, really, buyer beware. There's going to be some stuff. But I like to think I'm an equal opportunities offender. And the conflation between jokes and opinions. When you get cancelled over a joke, someone prints it in the paper. And there's a reason jokes don't work written down. It's like it's a spoken medium, right?
Yes.
It's like no one reads sheet music.
Yeah.
Right.
No one. You can say I like Radiohead. There's no one going, I bought the book of sheet music of Radiohead.
Yeah.
Oh, it's really good.
B flat minor.
No one does.
Yeah.
Stand-up's the same. You listen to it. It's performed. That's so important. You don't read the thing. So when you read it in the paper, I mean, even I will look back at sometimes when I get cancelled, you read it in the paper and go, fucking hell. But I told that in a theatre at 10 in the evening to people that had just heard 90 minutes of comedy at the end of a sequence. Yeah. And you shouted it through someone's letterbox at 9 a.m.
Yes.
And it's always on Twitter as well. They go, this joke's terrible. Which joke? The one I just reposted.
Yeah.
Motherfucker.
Right.
I know.
Out of context.
If
Well,
you're
it's
so
funny
offended,
because-
don't retell it.
I know.
The apologizing, I'm struggling to think of a time when it's worked. But the only thing that has worked is what you described, which is where you just go, I'm just going to wait it out and they'll be mad about something else in 2 days
Yeah.
and then everyone will go. But it's like when Drew Barrymore was like stumbling over herself to like,
Well,
I brought in these.
Who said, Neil Brennan said it. Neil Brennan said this thing of like when someone got cancelled. I think he said give it a month. If anyone gives a fuck in a month, I'll make a statement.
Yeah.
But the world moves on. It's
Yes.
it's incredible how
They'll pick
and there's
someone
there's
else.
moments in time where I'm just trying to think of the last example of like when Will Smith hits Chris Rock at the Oscars. And
Yeah.
you go, no one. This is the story. For the rest of our lives, there won't be another story. This is it, guys.
Yes.
This is the news now. This is the only thing. I can't imagine anything else is going to happen.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then a year later, I don't know.
Other things have happened in that time. I guess that you're kind of talking about it right now, but like, what do you make of this moment that it feels longer than a moment, sadly, of this time that we're living through right now? It feels like to me
How do you mean? In
that,
what,
like,
in what
that-
respect?
that there's been sort of a regression in terms of like what you can and can't say, according to people.
I don't know. I mean, there's that new book Outrage, which seems pretty good. I think what is was ever thus. I mean, guys couldn't use. You couldn't joke about pregnant women. You couldn't joke about. You couldn't swear on TV. You know, go back to 1970. George Carlin is still someone that his material still works, right?
Yeah.
And comedy rots. Really, it doesn't last.
No.
And George Carlin's still fucking funny. Those bits still work. The 7 words you can't say on TV.
Yeah.
You couldn't say those words on TV. You couldn't reference certain things. There's more freedom now than there's ever been. And you go, oh, you can't say things these days. I don't know. I was at the Wilton last night.
I said a
I
lot.
say you can. but the perception of, you know, so the hairsuit, you can't say anything. You can.
Yeah.
But also it's like freedom of speech, and which I think is the most important thing, is not freedom of consequence. People can be
Right.
upset.
Yes.
That's great. They just can't say that I can't do it.
Right.
Yeah,
That's
so
all right.
well said.
I agree.
Very well said. Someone who's thought a lot about this, clearly.
But I mean, you guys find that on the show? Like, what can't you say
Well,
on the
I
show?
don't live
We've
in
been
fear of
grandfathered
it.
in, you know.
Yeah.
Well, also, you can just stop looking at your phone and it goes away.
Right.
Right? Like
Yeah.
it's a consequence of being addicted to your phone to think that this is a real
Yes.
and present danger. Whereas if you just don't look at your phone, you go, I don't know, the sun's out, the clouds are out. I'm
It feels like
walking around.
it feels like
Yeah.
that thing of like, you know, that idea that the idea that what the papers think, what the news thinks, what Twitter or X think, and then what the general public think is like they're 3 totally different things.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
papers would love you to believe it's all the same.
Yes.
Right.
Do you notice a difference between England and America in the way that they take in perhaps controversial topics?
Standing ovations in America. People love getting up at the end of a show. And I thoroughly applaud. Like, it's great
That's
because
awesome.
you're leaving anyway.
Yeah.
You're on your way. You're either going to applaud sitting down and wait for the lights to come up and then get up. You get up now and give me the benefit.
Yeah.
But in America they do. But in the UK, I could be the risen Christ. I could eviscerate for 2
And
hours.
they won't do it.
No, there's like, nah,
What's that about?
I don't know.
Is it
I
not
don't know.
polite, maybe?
No, I don't know. It's like it's I don't know.
What about the cancellation part in England or in Great Britain? Is it just as sensitive over there?
Yeah, I think it's a sensitive, but I think it's like that's pretty universal kind of around the world of like you'll you know, you can find that people, you know, might be offended by something, and it's always the thing that affects them.
Right.
So it's like it's hard really in any of my specials where you always get cancelled after you played it to, I don't know what the last one was, like a million people might see it on tour,
Right.
and then it comes out on Netflix, and 6 weeks later someone goes, hang on, you can't say that.
Yeah.
What? I just did.
Hang on.
People really liked it.
Do you
People
have
laughed a lot.
a preferred audience in all your travels? Is there one particular country that you think like, oh, this audience is just above and beyond?
I don't know. I think that thing about when you travel, it's often when it's the people that are indigenous to that place. So it's that thing of like when if you go to Iceland, if you go to Japan, if you go to India, if you go to Australia, when local people come and see you, when it's not like, oh, a bunch of British people came.
Mhm.
That's like it. So it's for me, it's like the smaller towns tend to be better. Like LA last night was really fun, but San Diego was probably more fun the night before.
Yeah.
Like, so
Okay.
New York's great, but if you play New Jersey and 1,000 people come out, it's like, it feels
right.
like you're the only game in town. So there's a little bit of that. Like there's certain towns where you just go, you could play Radio City Music Hall and like anyone there had 15 other great options.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like there's just too much going on. This towns, there's too much.
Right.
LA's tough to get people out, right? Seems
Totally.
yeah.
Yes.
Totally.
Yeah. I mean, even we've never been in person before with
Yeah,
a
to
guest.
do this.
Like,
Yeah.
to do
We
a
can't even
podcast.
leave
to
our
get
house
us
to do
here.
this. Yeah.
Yeah.
It
And
took you to do it.
Yeah, I'll never forgive you for
Sorry.
making me
You
be
guys
here.
have met though, right?
Yeah, I mean, a couple of
Occasionally.
times.
How
yeah.
come you guys stopped doing stand-up? Because for me,
Didn't have to anymore.
didn't have to.
Yeah.
I think it's a get to do.
Yeah, no, I know. I agree. We had different experiences doing stand up. I was the stand up to which Goldy was referring, notepad, I'm cooler than you attitude. And so I didn't have much of a persona. I didn't have the right persona. I didn't have the right energy. I didn't have the right work ethic. All those things match with me being a writer who doesn't have to go up on stage.
Right.
Yeah. So
I got a little further than you did.
he did.
And,
He did it longer.
And yeah, I just realized 15 years in, the audience has spoken and they enjoy what I have to say, but they don't want to have to look at me. Like I went on Kimmel and I did.
They don't want to have to. God.
Yeah.
His
You're-
opinion of himself.
I know.
Yeah.
it's
I just.
crazy.
I
No, they
can't.
don't want. It's fine. I'm not like I get it, but it's
I
you
sort
know.
of don't. I don't think you know how you're perceived.
Agreed.
I don't think you have any idea.
It's
He
too
doesn't
late.
hear me.
How-
I compliment him all the time. And he
But
it's
appreciates
like-
it.
but it's-
Deaf
well,
ears.
the
I don't
other
think you
thing-
can see it. I don't think it's going to
I-
change. But it's
I
and
was
it's hilarious.
going to specialist for one of my kids, and there was a spectrum issue, and then I realized, in trying to get a diagnosis for her, it's like, I think I'm kind of autistic, but it's like too late. It's just it doesn't matter at this point.
Yeah.
Like I think I just can't absorb certain things, and so anyway, I did Kimmel. I did like pretty well, and but then. Even on the way out of leaving Kimmel, the audience didn't appear to recognize me, and I had just been on the show. And I thought to myself, I am lacking in something that is required to be a successful stand-up comedian, and that I just foresaw that it would be more and more frustration for me. And I could do well, but it felt like everyone was passing me, everyone was doing better.
Like, partly the problem with stand-up is that kind of comparison is the thief of joy. It's so clear how everyone is doing,
Yeah.
and that weird status game.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't know how you ever get past that. I read a great book last year that Will Stoll wrote this book called The Status Game about how like it's just an underlying sort of force in our lives.
Yes.
You know that thing of like when you go in a coffee shop and you order a coffee and someone comes in after you and they order a coffee and they get served before you.
Oh, yeah.
And you don't know
I
any of
get
these
so
people and
pissed.
you're never going to see them again in your life. And you're livid, incandescent
yes.
with rage.
Yes.
Where's my fucking coffee? It doesn't make any sense at all. But there's something in that, like we're constantly playing these little status games.
Yes.
And in stand-up, it's like that thing of like, how's everyone doing? What's the thing? And like, you can't kind of, sometimes I sort of view it as, I'm quite strict with this on friendships in stand-up. If someone is successful, if they get a big show, Netflix special, whatever, if their success isn't your success, they're not your friend.
Right.
That's like a frenemy, and you need to maybe just pull back from that person if there's a
Well,
jealousy.
That's so well said, and I was gonna ask about that too. Like, so you're at the the very top of the mountain, certainly.
No, I mean, I
certainly-
started off. I did my first Edinburgh. So Edinburgh's this big comedy festival. You go for a month and you do a thing. So my first Edinburgh was with. I did it with three friends. We like put on a show together. We all started around the same time.
Right.
And my friends were it was Ricky Gervais and Steve Merchant.
Oh my God.
And a guy called Robin Ince. And I think Ricky and Steve are great to start with guys like that because you go, oh, you wrote The Office.
Right.
Oh, and I remember them writing The Office. I remember I grew up in Slough where The Office is set. And I remember I remember driving Ricky and Steve around with a camcorder so they could get like the opening shots where's the shitty place going to be, and telling them about, the club used to be called Henry's. It was a Henry VIII themed nightclub. Right. And they went, oh, well, fucking put that in, Jim. That's fucking hilarious.
Wow.
But that weird thing of like going, when you've got friends that are that successful early on, like he was lauded as like, it was within like 2 years of starting stand-up.
Yeah.
The guy that I'd started with was like, oh, this is as good as Fawlty Towers. This is a phenomenal. You kind of go, oh, fuck it. All right. Well, I won't be the most successful then. Fine. It's quite good, I think, to have that as a, we're all, everyone's got an ego. Everyone's kind of trying to.
Yeah.
Every stand-up is trying to be on the Mount Rushmore of stand-up comedy, and you go, well, just enjoy your life as well, because there's no legacy. No one gives a fuck.
Well, I don't know. I mean, you would know better, but I would say that you're in that league. You're in step with like a Ricky Gervais and a Stephen Merchant. I know, granted, The Office is what it is. It's fucking amazing. It's, I think, the greatest comedy show ever. But in terms of stand-up, like I've watched many of Ricky Gervais' specials. I've watched many of your specials, and I feel like, it's like great apples and great apples. It's not something where I'm like, oh, well, Ricky Gervais is this Mount Rushmore character, but here's Jimmy Carr and I like him too. It's like, I watch you out there, and the way you just almost like you're like, you wear this suit like you're a Beatle. You have this look like you're, a news presenter. And then you get out there and you just absolutely rock with joke after joke after joke after joke, which is different from what those other guys do. It's different.
I think but it's quite old fashioned, isn't it? It's like, it's a bit more Bob Hope. It's like goes to another.
Yeah.
Like
jokes are slightly edgier.
But it's a different era, isn't it? Because it's that thing of I don't know.
Was there ever a time where you thought, I don't want to wear a suit anymore? I want to wear jeans and I want to be like looser. Or has that not even occurred?
No, and never more so than today. I feel I've made all the right
He's
choices.
pointing at Alec.
You guys, everyone in North America is dressed like a fucking toddler. You're a disgrace. Put a fucking tie on. You're a grown man.
I know.
Maybe the self-loathing would go if you weren't wearing Crocs.
We should come to work in ties. It'd be great.
When
Honestly,
you talk about finding
I was-
yourself on stage, when I first stepped into Crocs, I was like, I'm me.
Yeah, you found
This is
yourself.
it.
Yeah.
It's great. It's a very fun. It's a fun gig. I'm kind of interested in that thing of like when you stopped, thinking, okay, right, I'm not gonna achieve the thing there, but just the process of it is.
But I was getting good feedback also
Stand-up,
writing.
Yeah.
And that you talk about, oh, I'm good at, finding a proclivity for writing these jokes. Like, I might not be the best stand-up, but I found if people needed material, I could generate an idea always. And I was always trying different stuff, and none of it seemed to land and be the right persona. Like, I could do physical bits, I could do jokes.
Because you guys you've written on, you write on this, but you've written on the Oscars, you've written on like loads of kind of
roasts and that
yeah.
thing,
the roast thing is like, I
Late
find
night.
that really fascinating because that's always like the behind the curtain of the roast. Because everyone on those, I've only done one. I did the Rob Lowe one.
Yeah.
And
Did you work on that one? I feel
I
like you
didn't
did.
work on that one.
It was so fun to do that because it's kind of Avengers Assemble.
Yeah.
Where you've got your guys, and it'll be.
But I imagine you wrote most of your stuff, or you had a
But
few
a lot of people pitched ideas. A lot of people pitched ideas, and then it was like so it's that. So it's something about that. It's going to be about Pete Davidson, but it's going to be that kind of a joke. But it's what's the perfect wording? And then I always think that thing of like it's paring away. What can you get rid of? What doesn't need to be there?
Especially for a roast, it's good to have it nice
Concise.
and lean and just like cutting, just
Yeah.
literally.
Yes,
I mean, I
something
think
just something genuinely
ultimate
hurtful.
roast
Yes.
was I wouldn't fuck her with B. Arthur's dick. That
Yeah.
was like the ultimate.
That was a great
roast
joke.
that
I remember
yeah,
that.
Jeff
Yeah,
Ross.
roasts are so fun to watch.
What did I
Yeah.
did what was it? It was Ann Coulter. I had
Oh,
yeah.
my God.
said she was the most. I looked her in the eyes and said, "You're the most hatchet-faced, right-wing, bigoted cunt alive." But it doesn't have to be this way. You could kill yourself.
As
Oh
if that's
my
a joke.
God. That is great. It just kept getting worse.
Yeah.
But I love. I mean, I like. There's a certain mentality I think that you get into this, like whether you were doing that about her, or me, or yourself. Like I love that.
Yeah.
Like it makes you feel alive.
I know. I'm suddenly more awake.
Yeah, they're really fun to do. I think that thing of like Jeff as well is kind of really, I don't know, they feel, the roasts feel really fun. They really feel like because it sort of is it's almost joke writing as, it's the closest we'll ever get to sport. We never get to do sport, right? We can play a bit of pickleball or something.
Yeah.
Sad old man.
Maybe.
Dominoes maybe is the only thing.
Yeah, that's my
but
speed.
the idea of like going, the roast and roast battle that Brian Moses and Jeff did at the store, that felt like, I remember one year in Montreal where they did a tournament And it was so fun. Like,
Yeah.
because you would kind of get up in the morning and go, oh, who have I got tomorrow? All right, I've got Goldy. All right, okay. Well, what's he sensitive about? Oh, okay.
Ruthless.
Several things.
Yeah.
Well, do you get, one of the other things was I found myself like not as jazzed about watching stand up when I was doing it. Like it felt like a magician going to watch magic, but you seem to have this passion for it.
I watch everything. Yeah, I watch all the specials, everyone's thing. I'd hate to run into someone I've not seen their latest special. I'd hate to. I'd feel
very
embarrassed.
considerate.
I think it's that thing of like going as well. Where's the game being played? You sometimes see people that they're not in love with their craft. Like, I always think like if you meet musicians, you go, what record would you buy?
Yeah.
Send me a playlist. That's always the thing, and it's always mind-blowingly great.
Mm-hmm.
I remember getting a playlist off a friend of mine who's a musician, and I don't know what we're talking. We're talking about like glam rock.
Yeah.
I'm pretty well versed in music. Most comics I think I listen to a lot. And he said, I'll send you a playlist. It sent me 30 songs I'd never heard before.
Wow.
Like, everyone fucking incredible.
Wow.
I think the thing with stand-ups as well, like if you're into it, like you just get into it, and then you can slightly watch the things that you don't have. Like it's that thing of like when someone's just incredibly charming on stage and they've got like no material, like nothing, and they're selling out an arena.
Mm-hmm.
And their charm, and it's all performance.
Yeah.
And you go, wow. I mean, if you can't learn something from that, you're a dummy.
It's so true, and
that's
it's
great
so interesting, and I'm glad you have this attitude towards comedians because I think I've met many comedians who don't watch anyone else and kind of root for everyone else to fail. And just sort of play it off as like, well, I'm a comic, I'm twisted, I'm dark. But I love that you're
But it's
kind
a
you're there
bigger
to buy,
play, isn't it? It's that thing where you go. The best thing to happen to comedy is like, Chappelle now can sell infinite tickets. Remember, like I did the Bowl show with him last year when the guy came and tried to get him. I was with that.
Oh wow.
But that thing of like selling out the Hollywood Bowl. I think more comics now could sell arenas than bands in America. I could name more comics that could sell than bands. Like because music now has become, this is a very sad thing really. Music's become like a scented candle. You put on a playlist and it's like you don't even like. I'm so embarrassed because I was so into music as a kid, and you go, oh, what's the record? What's playing?
Right.
Don't know.
Oh yeah.
Don't know who this is.
That's true.
You'd have to
true, we're
Shazam
out
it
of
because who
touch.
cares?
Yeah.
Whereas comedy seems like it's a smaller. There's so few. Brennan gave this speech in Montreal last year. He was talking about stand-up comedy and saying his point was there were 60,000 brain surgeons in the world. How many guys would you trust to do a special? How many guys would you watch for an hour? Oh, I mean, we might say 100, but 50 is close to the real answer.
Was it you I was talking to earlier this week, and I was saying, when you used to watch a band, or I think maybe it was Alec, or I loved the top 40.
Oh,
Casey Kasem's, was
Yeah,
on
yeah.
our Diallo's episode, and you would hear, number 18, and you would go, oh my God, that person's a millionaire. Like they were all millionaires, but now, like if I go to a concert and you see someone on stage, you're like, they're broke.
Yeah.
They need the money.
It's a weird thing. I was reading about this recently because it's happened in all the industries, right? So there used to be 600 books came out every year, and they all did great, or 1,000 books, and they all did okay, and a novelist did okay. And now there's 3 novelists that sell infinite records.
Yes.
We sell as many records now, as were sold in the 70s, but Ed Sheeran, Taylor Swift, and Harry Styles sell all of them. And it feels like movies now. There's fewer movies. And they all, so everything goes to the.
Everything has to be in Avengers. Or,
Yeah.
Or Barbie.
Like a block.
And yet,
Still have a
and it
headache
feels
for
like the
Barbie.
industry can't get into comedy. It feels like the industry wouldn't have picked these people. There's no.
Right.
It's just no one's good before they're 40.
Well, what do you get approached with?
True.
I mean, because I imagine people see you on stage and then they say, we could use him in this, we could use him in this. Like, what kind of stuff you're in Hollywood this week?
You
or
will
what
be.
kind of meetings
You
are
will
taking?
be thrilled to learn. No.
What?
No, I'm not thrilled.
I don't. No one offers anything.
That's
There's never. I've never
crazy.
been offered anything interesting. But I'm very comfortable with that.
But you
But
really
it's
like
not
a
like.
walk-on in a movie where they say, oh, you could be, even like an annoyed, pointed waiter. I would just go like, yeah, he'd be amazing at that. Like a
got his
really
own
memorable
wardrobe.
two-scene.
No, I always thought I'd make a great Bond baddie.
Oh,
Yes.
Make a good bad
You
guy.
would.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
You absolutely would.
Your agreement on that quickly
Yes.
was
Uh-oh.
troubling.
Sorry.
No. It's totally true.
Yeah.
Thank
But
They're
the-
charismatic, those Bond baddies.
I think that's a very
You're the
cool
best.
role.
But no, I also think like you could take infinite meetings in Hollywood. You could die of encouragement.
Yep.
Yeah,
Oh, that's sad.
that's
But
true.
you know what I mean? It's like that thing of like there's so much. And
Yeah.
it's
we want to
and
be in the Jimmy Carr business. We just have to be.
it's
part
not a
of it.
question of if we're going to work together.
Yeah,
It's when.
it's when.
Oh,
Would-
wow.
Yeah.
Please.
We want to
It's a
take a
deal.
percentage of Jimmy Carr's money.
Yeah, I know.
That's
Well,
what it boils
that's-
down to.
that's
But
kinda true.
it's weird. It's a weird thing being a comic as well, because you've got, my friend said this thing to me recently. It really stuck with me. He's a singer. He's very famous in the UK. Robbie Williams. He's like
Oh my
yeah.
God.
Millennia.
All that, yeah. Okay,
He's very
so he
famous.
said this thing, and he said, "I'm an entertainer in the true sense. If you don't love me, I don't love me."
Oh yeah.
And I went,
That's like
"Oh,
a comedian, right?
no, comedians are not that. So comedians
Oh.
aren't. We're entertainment adjacent. We're sort of in show business, but I desperately want you to love me
Yeah.
Yes.
entirely on my terms. These are my
Oh.
jokes.
Yeah.
I'm not changing one fucking word of it.
I see.
But
That's a big
but
difference.
still, I desperately want to be loved. But there's kind of a paradox there. But this is what I brought.
Right.
So it's not that kind of I'll do anything.
Wow.
Right.
Because it must be so. I like being an actor as well. I don't think it's a better job. I think it's
No.
you're reading out someone else's lines. You're waiting around for the phone to ring.
Yeah.
Someone's giving you permission. Like
Right.
the great thing about stand up, I think, is it's like, and the terrible thing about it for lots of people is it's self-assignment. You have to do the work yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Motivate.
That's
So
what,
do you
that's the
every
part I
day,
hated.
sit down consciously and say, okay, 3 hours worth of jokes, or do you, as you're just kind of walking around, you see something and you
Walking around, and then the writing is the editing. So when I'm on the road, is the editing, and then I've just done a thing this year of like just doing so almost like the Johnny Jokes thing you do on this, doing new jokes at the end of every show. So do 90 minutes on stage, and then get out a piece of paper and read 10 jokes.
I'm sorry. Did you say 90?
Yeah.
Wow. 90 minutes and then new jokes at the end.
Yeah, and 2 shows a night.
Jesus Christ.
just
Yeah, but think of the money.
We do
I don't know. There's
4
90
jokes a
minutes
week.
where I know I don't have to shit
I
ever.
know,
that
I
I could just
could
go like
never
I could
make-
safely be standing up here in a suit and not have to leave. That would might have stopped my
Yes.
career.
Do you
Yeah,
have,
you're the one person that's pointing out the bladder control is remarkable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
do you have anything on like that helps you on stage? Cue cards or a teleprompter that helps you along the way in your
Yeah, I'll
show?
often have like if you're recording something, you'll often have like a little obviously for TV shows and stuff, you've got the prompt,
Right.
which I'm sort of terrible at with prompt. I got a tip earlier. I got a tip from Anne Robinson, the Weakest Link presenter.
Oh, yeah,
yeah.
sure.
Whatever. She gave me a tip. I met her backstage at the BBC years ago, and she pointed out spoken word is written very differently to written word. So you just like putting commas in where you need the commas when you're reading autocue really helps
Yes.
people. So
Wow.
if you're writing monologue jokes, it really helps to after every phrase put in the commas and the full stops
wow.
rather than write it as a full paragraph.
Oh, boy.
Wow.
I'm doing it all wrong.
So most of your night of your shows are memorized though, but you just
Yeah.
have cues to help you along the way.
Yeah, and often the name of the town written on a piece of paper.
That's helpful.
Yeah.
Well,
That's incredible.
where's
the town and the other shitty town to refer to.
Right. That they could all laugh
Yeah.
at.
Yeah.
So it's where are the
Yeah, where the rivals.
where do you think the terrible people live?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And
Because they told us last night it was here. But
Yeah. That's big
Yeah.
in America for sure.
Yeah.
Where is the next town that you'll be performing
Anaheim?
two
in?
shows in Anaheim tonight, and then
Oh.
I'm in some.
Anaheim. We
Yeah.
would say Anaheim is terrible here in
Yeah.
LA.
Yeah.
Yeah, we would shit on them.
Yes. I
And
feel sure.
they can't shit back.
No.
Yeah.
but
So
I
if
mean,
they
how could
try, they can't.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's Disney, isn't it? It's out that way.
Yeah, it's just a lot of like people in flat brim caps and Acuras with Oakleys on the back of
Oh
their
my
head, just
Back
being belligerent,
Yeah, not-
too red. And,
Not wearing cool Crocs.
Yeah.
no, they'll have
Yeah.
Crocs. Oh no, they'll have.
They'll
There's a
be
crossover.
decked out in Crocs.
So what's next for you guys? What are you now?
Oh my God.
Well,
Well,
okay.
in-
So something that came up, and
Yeah.
listen, in the you're not on the forums presumably, but fans of the show,
The forums.
Stewie rips his dick off the movie. Is that
Chris,
not?
Chris,
is there not a movie?
Oh, yeah, Chris.
It's a lot of work.
Oh
my God.
I'm working
Is that-
on an episode this week, and it's all I can do. It's
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
How is there not a movie? How is there not a?
Chris rips his dick off is what is still my favorite pitch. I'm still laughing about it. The thing is, there's at some point there's going to be a Family Guy movie. Seth keeps threatening, but he also says that he fully has the idea for it, and I don't think Chris ripping his dick off can
Is-
just be.
Can be
Would
the
it?
movie.
Oh, in the
No.
movie, right?
Yeah.
What about the disappointing sequel?
Yes, that would be a very good disappointing.
I mean, that's
sequel.
the one I'll get to work on.
Yeah,
undoubtedly.
Have you seen Ted 2? Might I mention that?
I saw him in. Where did I see him live? I saw him in Montreal. He came one year and they did a live read of an episode.
Oh, right.
Which was kind of remarkable to see.
Yes.
Like that the idea of like that level of like voice.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it really
it's
is
like
something.
witchcraft.
It's mind-blowing.
Yeah, when he does like 3 or 4 characters on one page and just switches
Oh, yeah.
effortlessly, it's very cool to watch.
While writing notes condemning the script.
I know.
Yeah.
That
Well, when
happens
he's
a lot.
recording for us, he cold reads them
Yeah.
and switches from character to character on cold reads. It's like, it's brilliant.
Yeah, he's
Wow.
good at it. He's good at it. But you know what? It's about 98 degrees in this booth now. And Jimmy, you've been so generous with your time. I can't believe this even happened.
I know.
Yeah.
I can't
Thank
believe.
you so
Thank
much.
you for talking about us.
No,
Thank you for listening.
I will promote the hell out of it. I think it's a great show. I think you guys do great work. I think it's really interesting as well for people in comedy to kind of get that little look. The people that you talk to as well. It's really interesting to see. Okay, so that's a bit of the entertainment world. If you don't grow up. If you don't have parents that were in show business, you don't know.
Yep.
And now you can listen to something like this. And if you listen to 10 episodes, you have a pretty good, oh, okay, that's what being a writer in Hollywood's a bit like. You kind of have a feeling of it. It is kind of sharing something. It's really nice. And I think that thing
Someone finally noticed.
but it's really lovely to kind of see how it's done. It's
Well, it
and I'm such a huge fan. It's
It
great.
was lovelier for us to have you here,
Yes.
and so
We really
thank you
appreciate it.
for
And, like,
you.
mentioning us
coming
and-
across town in the morning to do
Well,
this with us.
and
We
how-
appreciate
You're
it.
still on tour, right? How much of your tour is
Yeah,
left?
Anaheim.
I
Remember
know,
I know, but
Anaheim?
that's one show. What else is?
like there's maybe 15 more shows this year, something like that.
All right.
There's a bunch.
There's
Okay.
only like 15 more days
I
in
know.
a year.
Yeah,
Right.
Doing it
Do you have any other tours coming up after that?
Yeah.
constant.
No, I've never been off tour.
He's
Okay.
constant.
I've never been off tour. I will take the kids away for a couple of weeks here and there, but basically I'm on tour the whole time.
Ugh.
If there's a night, I'll do a show.
Well,
Amazing.
anyone who listens to us, if you happen to be in the same shitty town where Jimmy is about to perform, you should definitely go see him or watch any of his many Netflix specials or
Yes,
wherever
which are
you can
great.
stream them. They're awesome. They are master classes in actual stand-up comedy.
Actual stand-up.
Yes. Jimmy, you can
Thank
put
you
that in your
so
bio.
much.
Feel free to steal that.
Thank you.
Jimmy Carr, thank you so much for being here.
I'm
today.
Thank you.
thrilled that I was invited to be part of this podcast.
Please. Yeah, unlike John Bynum.
Oh, God.
Oh,
Jimmy
my
Carr.
God. I can't.
What a machine gun, a Gatling gun of comedy that guy is.
Yeah, and
It's
really nice
just
guy.
preparation meeting opportunity. Over
And
over
intelligence.
again.
Like
Yeah.
Yes.
the guy, I mean, he put us to shame. But let's say,
I know,
let's
but
not
also,
put it that
but
way.
part of me goes, you know, if he'd stayed at Shell, would he be running the place?
I know.
I
Maybe
know.
they'd be
He's
totally
that
green
smart.
by now.
I
He would,
know.
he would have Shell all like
and
a
people
solar.
would be like, God, and their CEO's super funny.
I know, right? For a CEO, he's hilarious.
Very
and very,
edgy.
very sharply dressed too. Like
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
kind of put us to shame.
What
I'm
a prince of a guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was great, and he elevated us by being here. So thank you, Jimmy Carr.
Thank you.
So guess what? We're now going to do our top 5, and I'll give it the little drum roll appropriate. But we got a targeted top 5. So let's get in to top 5. Top 5. Oh, beautiful. Top 5. We're doing it. We're doing it.
We're doing
Top
it.
5 cars for
That's-
Jimmy. For Jimmy, top 5 cars. Goldy, you want to lead us? Or no. You know what? I'll go first, JC, then Goldy. How about that? How does that
Sure.
sound?
Go for it.
Good? All right, number 5. I have the Dodge Challenger.
Okay.
I freaking love the Dodge Challenger. Tall and I went to a wedding in Palm Springs and rented a car from Hertz. And I'm a Gold Club member, no big deal, President's Circle, so I get to just choose whatever car. And they had
wow.
an orange Dodge Challenger sitting there, and I was like, we're doing it. We're doing it this weekend.
That's
and
awesome.
it was superb.
I got to tell you, I
Is it
just had
tight?
a whole thing with Hertz where the last car I rented got hailed on, and it was like over $8,000 in damages, and we've been going back and forth.
Oh,
for
no.
Oh
months.
no.
Hey, well,
I'm
you
not
know
going
what?
to have to pay it, but just like sorting the insurance.
Yeah.
I know. Well, you know what?
Hail.
You know, we/you
Duh.
wrote that joke for Tom Brady. He's the Hertz guy. We reach out to him. This goes away.
Oh.
This goes away.
Thank you.
All right. Number 4. Thank you. Number 4, best cars. Subaru Brat.
Oh, yeah.
Subaru.
God, did I As my dad says, Subaru. No, the Subaru Brat was just super cool when we were growing up.
Is that
Loved
the station wagon?
Yeah,
one?
it's got a little
Yeah,
back
those are the
seat
best.
outside. Very cool.
I don't know.
Number 3, the 1979 Pontiac Trans Am,
Wow.
a.k.a. the Smokey and the Bandit car. That thing was awesome. Awesome. Number 2, the DeLorean from Back to the Future.
Yeah.
Gotta
Yes.
be. Gotta be. Yeah, total chalk. And number 1, complete chalk, the chalkiest chalk, Magnum PI's Ferrari. Oh my God, did I want that car?
Yeah, it's like 170 horsepower.
I don't care. That thing looks like it's speeding in park. I don't care. All right, JC, take it away.
Okay, my number 5 is the James Bond Aston Martin DB5.
Excellent choice.
Why, thank you.
Excellent choice. I'm embarrassed that I didn't choose that.
Oh, okay. Well, don't worry about, because the rest of them you'll be like, what are you talking about? My number 4 is the Jaguar XJS, just in general. I love that.
That was a great car.
Yeah, the old one.
My dad had one of those. I mean, back in the 50s.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
Wow.
he said it was the worst car he'd ever owned.
Yeah.
And that he
I
would
love that.
he would drop it off on Monday, pick it up Friday for the weekend, and then drop it back off on Monday to the
I
mechanic.
love that.
And I guess at one point when it rained, the floorboard would fill up with water, and their solution was to drill holes in the floor.
We figured it
That's
out.
brilliant.
We figured out the problem.
Anyway,
I love that. My number 3 is the Porsche 911.
yes.
Great.
Okay, thanks. And number 2, I had one of these. It was a 1988 Toyota pickup truck, just the original pickup truck. So sweet.
Those things are the famous ones that are like, it's gone for 200,000 miles.
Yes,
Yeah.
love it, love it. And then my number 1 is the BMW 2002. Anywhere from like 72 to like the 80s. Yeah, they're sweet, tiny
Classy.
little cool classic cars. Yeah.
Goldie's a big Beamer guy.
Okay. Top 5 cars. Number 5, if you know, you know, white Ford Bronco.
Ooh.
Oh,
Oh wait,
Jay.
like OJ?
Yeah.
If you know, you
Blanco
know.
Bronco. Perfect for getting your buddy out of town and then back into town.
Don't choke.
You made an
Not
OJ
quite
joke and it was
escaping.
good.
Number 4, I owned this car during COVID. It was the greatest car, but it only got 9 miles a gallon. The Ford F-150 King Ranch.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, that thing was sweet looking.
It was amazing. Number 3, MacGruber's Miata.
Oh, yes.
KXBR 191. No, that was the license plate
the
of the other
license
guy.
plate. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Writing it down.
Number 2 is from the movie Sideways, the Saab 900 convertible,
Oh,
1988, I
nice.
believe. I used to have the hardtop version of that when I moved out
that.
here. And number 1 is the car I drive now. I call it simply the greatest boring car ever. The Toyota RAV4.
Oh,
There's-
nice.
It's dynamic in its boringness.
So many different things bore you.
Nothing will ever go wrong. You'll never be noticed. You'll never think about it once.
Yep.
Wow, that's nice.
It's fine. I don't think I'll ever drive anything else.
There you go.
That's awesome. I love it.
Ringing
Yeah.
endorsement.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that was fun. And next week, our top 5, we're going to be doing, it's my choice. We're going to be doing top 5 most depressing songs. I feel like we've set that up maybe once before, but
Yes.
we're really doing it
We're
next
really
week.
doing it.
So get depressed, get sad, and get singing.
Yeah, for
All right,
your New
and-
Year's.
Yeah. And now let's close the show as we do every week on a high note. Oh, Tom and Max. We miss you.
Always.
Anyone want to go?
I'll go. It's a little early for this,
Yeah.
Mhm.
but I think I fucking fought this year to a draw.
Oh.
And I'm just
That's
calling
good.
it a
That's good
draw.
news.
That is
I
good.
took my lumps. I was on the canvas, and then I just got up, and my eyes are closed with punches, and my face is slathered in Vaseline. But I fucking fought it to a draw.
Yes, this is
Yeah.
like the Sly Stallone speech in whatever Rocky that was. Life
All
knocks
of
you
them.
down. what you do when you get back up? Well, I'm glad you fought, because for you to say that you fought this year to a draw, like I take that as
That's
a very
good.
positive thing.
Yeah.
I take that as you
It's
saying,
fine.
like, fuck
It's
you.
fine.
It's
It's
fine.
fine.
It's the RAV4 of
Of
years.
years.
What do you got, JC? What's your high note?
My high note is I'd love to give a little shout out to Hillman Hollister for helping us out with Jimmy Carr.
No, think of another one.
Okay.
Think of another high note.
Why? Tell me
I'm just
why.
kidding. I'm teasing. I love Hillman. I'm just saying.
I was like, oh,
that wasn't
fuck.
good enough.
And also Abby LaValle, she also stepped in a little bit and helped a little bit. But Hillman came in early, helped me set up the cameras, which,
All right.
we'll use some of the footage, but
Thanks, Hillman.
but thank you.
Thanks a lot, Hillman.
No, it was really
Oh.
appreciated.
Some good angles you got there, Hillman. All right, my high note. It's time to bust out the tissues here. After a very
gonna
long,
jizz?
Wait, what did you
You're gonna
say?
be so mad that you just said that. After a very long and hungry life, our dog Dutch is no longer with us.
Oh boy.
He gone!
Is that because of Hillman? No. You should not have done that.
Oh.
Dutch is dead. She was a good girl, but now she gone.
Sorry.
No,
Yeah, I'm sorry.
you know what? It was her time to go.
Yeah. Oh, I'm
as
sorry.
as decided by us because we'd had enough. But it was her time.
So were you in the room and you're holding her?
You
Is
mean
that how it
the
works?
room where it happened?
I so
no.
dread that.
I know. I was not. I have been before, but I was not. I was far away. I was at work in LA, and Tall was on duty. She's been there for many of these passings.
That's sad.
But yeah, Dutch had a great life, and she was a really sweet dog. Always incredibly hungry. Just like up to the last day, just voraciously hungry. And anyway, we're now down to 2 dogs, which makes things like sort of easier, but
Yeah.
I miss her.
Aw,
And
sorry.
Yeah.
she was a good dog.
Oh man.
Sorry.
I'm really sorry.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought you were gonna jizz.
I know. Wouldn't it have been better if I had just jizzed than all that
My
crap?
God.
JC pressing he gone at the just most inopportune time.
Don't do that. I'm already saying if we're still doing the podcast when
I
Lloyd
would
goes,
never.
please don't do that.
What do you mean?
Not to
What?
Lloyd.
Well, if Lloyd dies and we're still doing the podcast, I don't want to he gone and
I
Lloyd
promise.
die.
I love that Goldy's getting angry too. I think it was because I
We
shit on
should
your,
just give
your
you
Hillman
lists
high
of
note.
people you can't he gone that are
Yeah.
just taped to your monitor, so you go. Let me consult the list. No, okay, there we go.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Don't be mad. Are you actually
Obama, we're not doing a he gone.
Yeah, let's hold off on the he gone for Kilby.
Oh no.
Larry Bird.
Yeah, Larry Bird might get a he gone.
I need to start
Yeah, he
taking
could.
writing these down.
Jennifer Connelly.
Yes.
Jennifer Connelly. No, don't you dare.
That's
I
what I'm
would never.
saying.
Yeah.
Tom Cruise,
This,
there's no
this
he
is the
gone.
list. This
No
is the
he gone
list.
with Tom
Okay.
Cruise.
No.
Okay.
All right, we've rambled. I think I had one
Okay.
drink before this little
Good.
wraparound segment, and I think it's made it like twice as long. Okay. So thank you. Thanks, Dutch. What a wonderful tribute that was.
Yeah.
Thanks
Gave you
to
the best years of her life.
Yeah.
Gets back.
We just got.
What are your memories? She ate a lot. Good dog.
and she gone.
Oh, and don't forget the jizz guy over here. We got the jizz guy, and he gone.
Listen, I'm just trying to get something going. I don't know.
All right, speaking of he gone, let's get out of here on Christmas. Jimmy Carr, thank you so much. Thank you two
Thank
for being
you.
awesome.
Thank
Thank you
you.
all for listening, and we will talk to you again next week.
Next year.
Ooh.
Oh, next week.
Oh, next week. Oh.
Gets pushed to them anyway.
That was fun.
And it stops right now.
And it's beginning to smell a lot like rat piss.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's fine.
He's like, guys, trust me, I'm a cunt.